Om. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Last week we saw till 153rd OV of the 16th chapter of Bhavartha Deepika Jnaneshwari, and we are addressing the verse number 2, and the second verse was Ahimsa Satyam Akrodah Tyaga Shantirapayishunam Daya Bhuteshva Loluptvam Mardavam Hrira Chapalam. So we have seen Ahimsa, we have seen Satya, we have seen Krodha, we have seen Tyaga, we have seen Shanti, and we have seen Apaishunam. And now today Apaishunam was slander. And here the last OV said Aga Apaishunyanche Lakshana Arjuna he Pudhe Zana Moksha Margiche Sukhasana Mukhya he ga. So he said the absence of slander is an easy means of transport in the journey towards liberation. That is, we must not censure anyone unnecessarily. And now we start from 154th OE. We'll just read the 2-1. आता दयाते ऐसी पूर्ण चंद्रिका जैसी निवविता न कडसी साने थोर तैसे दुःखिताचे शिणणे हिरता सकण वपणे उत्तमाधमनेने विवंचुगा. He says that now compassion should be like this, just as the moon on the full moon night does not distinguish between persons as great or small in making them cool, so he relieves the misery of a person in distress without pausing to think whether he is noble or mean. This should be our disposition. It means when our heart is able to melt when we see others in sorrow or in misery, and that outpouring of compassion that happens, it could be not just the misery, it can be joy also. To share in other person's joy or another person's success rather than be jealous. So here it says that when we are able to appreciate the miseries of others, and this is only possible when we have accepted and gone beyond our own miseries, we have transcended ourselves, or we are on our way to transcend them. See, so this ability, it's not matter of fact life, it's a matter of love, and that love expresses as compassion. Love is not hugging and kissing. Love expresses as compassion, it expresses as service, it expresses as dhan, it expresses ahimsa, it expresses as all these qualities. It is that unconditional love. The closer we come to our essential nature, to that extent these qualities will naturally express out of you. Until you have not come to be established in the self, you practice them. Effort has to be put. You can't just wait for it to happen. If you can wait, good. But you are not used to not doing anything. You have got an itch. Every one of us has got an itch from inside. We are either in the tamasic mode, or we are in the rajasic mode, or we are in the sattvic mode. But we are always doing something. If you stop doing everything and just wait, it will happen. But till you are addicted, meaning as long as you are thinking you are the body, till then action will be there. So only in a sattvic mind these qualities express of daya. And therefore it is our readiness to serve the person who is in front of us without expecting anything in return. That is important. Without expecting anything in return. It is out of our fullness of heart, which is brimming over with compassion. Then it happens. Here he says, now from the 156th OV, he says, Pai jagi jivana sarikhe vastu angvari upakhe parizate jivit rakhe trunache hi तैसे पुढिलाचे नितापे कळव वळलिये कृपे सर्वस्वेसी दिधले ही आपण पे थोडेची गमे निम्न भरलिया विणे पाणी दळोची नेणे ते विश्रांता तोषवनी जाणे सामोरे पा पै पायी काटा नेहटे तव व्यथा जीवी उमटे तैसा पोळे संकटे पुढिलाचेनी कापावो शीतळता लाहे किमते डोळ्याची लागी होय तैसा परसुखे जाये सुखावतू. He says, is there anything in this world other than water which perishes itself and saves the withering grass? See the example there. Which perishes, water perishes itself in order to nurture the grass. So even if he has to give all, he relieves the suffering of a person and thinks it a small sacrifice. This is called living 100% every moment. Not tidbits. You want to give donation, you give $2, and for that you got ask for receipt. You want to do something for someone, it's not that foolishly give everything, but at the same time give with an open heart. When you want to give a present, give it with an open heart. When you punish with an open heart. That is also compassion. But it must come out of inspiration and abundance. Unless you are not full of love, unless and until you are not seeking security for yourself, unless and until you are seeking what about me if I give this away? No. We are not talking about that here. If I overly become friendly or show compassion, they will misunderstand. Don't come from fear. Do your best and get away. Don't linger there after that. So here he says, so even if one has to give all, He relieves the suffering of a person and thinks it a small sacrifice. Your compassion is taken as a sacrifice. See? See, like Sudama, there, out of greed, he ate that poha. Yeah? And when Krishna asked, he said, "Arey, I finished everything." And that's what brought Daridrata in his life. And Daridrata means extreme poverty, can come anytime unasked. But it is directly proportional to your actions while living. It did not come. They were studying there. After that, he went back to his home. He got married. He had children. Sudama we are talking about. Only when his children grew up a bit, then that act of his brought about Daridrata in his life. So don't think everything is going hunky-dory. I think I am fine, and live in your own small teeny-weeny world in your own mind without sharing yourself, your heart, your company, your wealth for the betterment of the society. Only me, then it will lead to Daridrata one day. See? And Daridrata is not only by way of money. Daridrata can be, like Steve Jobs when he passed away. His last memoirs are that I lived whole life for myself. He had no friends. He had not one single friend whom he could call, he is my friend. See? He died a lonely person. In spite of having every richest man on the planet, yet dying lonely, because never came forward to share himself with others. Only in his brain, not in his heart. Just as water does not flow over a ditch without filling it, so he does not take a step forward without comforting a tired person he comes across. Who? A Dayavan Purusha. A compassionate one does not go through life without removing the misery of others, without sharing the misery of others, without lending a helping hand, without giving his shoulder to another person to lean on. He is always there, ever. So he does not take a step forward without comforting a tired person he comes across. Just as a shooting pain resulting from a prick of a thorn registers itself on one's face, he feels compassion at the suffering of others. Just as the eyes benefit from the cooling sensation of the soul, he feels happy by seeing others happy. Not feel jealous because others are happy. You must have also come across people. When children are happy, stop laughing. That's why in our Bhagavad class, all children are allowed to do what they want. I hope you are all not disturbed when that goes on. If you are disturbed, it's for you to work it out, not for the children. See? So he who feels happy in the happiness of others, that personality has to be cultivated. Who feels the pain of another person, that type of heart has to be cultivated. Only then उसको बोलते हैं एक आत्मीयता. आत्मीयता in Hindi will be, in English will be empathy. Feels the pain of others, feels the success of others, and is happy for others. This is Daya. Now continuing. किम बहुना तृषिता लागी पाणी आरायिले असे जगी तैसे दुःखितांचे सेल भागी जिणे जयाचे तो पुरुषु वीरराया मूर्तिमंत जाण दया मी उदय जताची तया ऋणिया लाभे आता सूर्यासी जीवे अनुसरलिया राजीवे परिते तो न शिवे सौरभ्य जैसे. का वसंताची आवाहाणी आलिया वनश्रीच्या अक्षौहिणी ते न करी तुची घेणी निघाला तो. हे असो महासिद्धीसी लक्ष्मी ही आलिया पाशी परी महाविष्णु जैसी न गणीच ते. He says in the 161st OV, his very living is meant for relieving the suffering of others. As water is created in this world to quench thirst, such a person is compassion incarnate, and I become beholden to him since his life began. This is called maturity. Maturity is not because we have become a great person, people are respecting us, they have put us on a pedestal. That is not maturity. Just because we have got white hair and or white beard, we have not become mature. This is maturity, where that his very living is meant for relieving the suffering of others without anything, without any return or even expectation of a reciprocation. Without any expectation of reciprocation. So is our existence as a person, is it beneficial to the people around us or is it detrimental to people around us? Do people feel comfortable in our company or they abhor our company? Think. Just as water is created in the world to quench this thirst, so such a person, the sadhu purusha, dayavan person, compassionate person, is there only to relieve the misery of others. Such a person is compassion incarnate, and I become beholden to him since his life began. And such a person, Bhagwan is surrendered to, dayavan, sadhu purush. Because he is serving his creation. Whose? God's creation. It's not your creation. God's creation. With the sunrise, the lotus blooms, but the sun does not smell it. When the spring comes, the trees look fresh with foliage, but he passes on without enjoying that scenic beauty. When Goddess Lakshmi approaches Lord Vishnu along with all miraculous powers, he does not even take notice of her. We are to So just like sun is a mere witness, nourishing wherever it goes, wherever the sun goes, it removes darkness, it removes tamas, it removes darkness, nourishing whatever is coming in its way. And here the example that you have taken, yes, as he is going through, the flower is there, the fruits are there, the new leaves in the spring, the different seasons are taking place in the on the earth, but the sun is not enjoying anything. He's happy. In fact, the next point that is given is he is not even aware that all this is happening because of him. And what is that? Just as the Lakshmi Mata, who is the abode of all siddhis, when she comes to him, he is sitting there with his eyes closed in meditation on his own Swarup. See? He does not even take notice of her. In the same way, even if the pleasures of this and the next world come to him, he does not feel like enjoying them. In short, that state in which he does not entertain any desire for sensuous pleasures is known as non-covetousness. What is that? Non-covetousness? Here the word is aloluptvam. Loluptvam is covetousness or greed. What is yours, what is mine, what is yours is also mine. I want to experience that. Where did you buy this TV from? Oh, there. Oh, it's fantastic. It's curved. Oh, it is a big screen. Oh, it's a theater. I also want one. If this feeling is going on in your mind whenever you go to meet someone, if someone is wearing a nice shirt or kurta, oh, what is that cloth that looks very nice? I think I must also get one made of this material. Loluptvam. This seeker, one of the Daivik Sampatti, good quality is absence of non-covetousness. Just like sun, even though it is nourishing everything, but it is not wanting anything in return from what it is nourishing. Same way, this sadhu purusha, this seeker, he also moves through the world without wanting anything what others have or wanting something that he doesn't have. Need is different, want is different. This is lalach. Loluptvam is lalach. Aloluptvam, no lalach, no greed, non-covetousness. So here he says in the 166th verse, in the 166th verse, he says, तैसे ऐहिकीचे का स्वर्गीचे भोग पायिक झालिया इच्छेचे परिभोगावे हे न रुचे मना माझी बहुवे काय कौतुकी जीवनो हे विषयाभिलाखी अलोलुप्त्व दशा ठाऊकी जाणते हे आता माशिया जैसे मोहळ जळचरा जेवी जळ का पक्षिया अंतराळ मोकळे हे नातरी बाळके कोद्देशे मातेचे स्नेह जैसे का वसंतीच्या स्पर्शे मऊ मलया निळू डोळ्या प्रियाची भेटी का पालिया कूर्मीची दिठी तैसी भूत मात्री राहटी मवाळते. He says, so here he was talking about the aloluptvam, in short, that state in which he does not entertain any desire for sensuous pleasures is known as non-covetousness, aloluptvam. Then he continues to say, just as the honeycomb is dear to the bee, water to the aquatic creatures, or the open sky to the birds, so he behaves gently with all beings. His gentleness is like the love of the mother for her child, like the soft and fragrant breeze blowing on the Malaya mountain at the advent of the spring, or the sight of dear and near ones to the eyes, or the fond look of a female tortoise which nourishes its chicks. So basically, his presence, his touch, his walk, his demeanor, his speech, his look, everything is there only to nourish the others. And this can happen through us only when we feel we are complete. This will come about through it will become a natural disposition for us when we feel. We have studied from chapter 1 till chapter 15. And the 15th was Purushottama Yoga. When we come to accept that this Supreme Person is none other than the Self within me, that I am. It is all that there is. Nothing is outside me. Only then we will stop wanting something from the world in order to complete ourselves. If we are still filling ourselves with more and more relationships, more and more objects, and that gives us the security of completeness, we are the most unfortunate one. True compassion, now here we are talking about now Mardavam. Mardavam is softness, butter-like personality. With the children, we are child. With the teenagers, we are ha ha hoo hoo. With the adults, we are talking their language. With the elders, we complain about all our pains. We compete also with them. That is Mardavam. That's their language. आज यहाँ दर्द हो रहा है, आज वहाँ दर्द हो रहा है. अच्छा आपको हो रहा है, मुझे भी हो रहा है. No. He who is able to fit, one size fits all. That's Mardavam. Soft as butter. So our personality has to become like that. Everyone must feel comfortable with ourselves, and we must feel comfortable with everyone. So here he says that just as the honeycomb is dear to the bee, water to the aquatic creatures, or the open sky to the birds, so also this person, this sadhu purush, this seeker, he is like that sky which accommodates everything, all the creatures. So if he is that person who accommodates all beings, all people. He is like that gentle breeze on the Malaya mountain, and at the advent of the spring, or the sight of the dear and near ones to the eyes, or the fond look of a female tortoise which nourishes its chicks. You know, the beauty of tortoise, when they lay the eggs, they incubate them, shower all the love on them, and then they go away. Okay. In Upanishads, one example comes where the pupae, you know, and the bee comes, and just as the 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 baby is going to come out of the cocoon, the bee goes and covers the entrance, and all that the the what do you call, what would you call it, that small thing, I don't know the name, that baby bee. The baby bee, as it is looking into the eyes of the mother, she also becomes the bee. See, that's why we have these ideas, when the devotees, they are looking at the form of the Lord, they say Sarupya Mukti, Saloka Mukti, Sanidhya Mukti. Why? They are so besotted with the form of the Lord that they get that form. Exactly the same way. Here, just like the fond look of a female tortoise which nourishes its chicks. In the 171st verse, he says, Sparshe ati mrudu mukhi gheta suswadu घ्राणासी सुगंधु उजाड़ू 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 आगे तो आवड़े तेवढ़ा घेता विरुद्ध जरी न होता तरी उपमेय येता कापूर की परी महाभूते पोटी वाहे तेवीची परमाणु माझी सामाये या विश्वानुसार होए गगन जैसे काय सांगो ऐसे जिणे जे जगा चैनी जीवे प्राणे तया नाव म्हणे मार्दव मी आता पराजये राजा जैसा कदर थिजे लाजा कामानिया निस्तेजा निकृष्टास्तव. He says, had the camphor, which is soft to the touch, tasty to the mouth, fragrant to the nose, and clean to appearance, not been harmful when taken in large quantity, it would have served as a good smile for his gentleness, just as the space which carries all the gross elements in its compass is contained in a smallest item or assumes the form of the universe, so he lives his life only for the entire world. I call that state of his gentleness. So who is this Mardavam? This is one of the qualities that must be cultivated, or it will express, it should express that our presence is a nourishing factor wherever we are. It is a positive factor. Our presence is an inspiration to others. Our presence is nourishing, our presence is inspirational, our presence motivates others, our presence makes everyone comfortable. Our personality or our disposition is like what was told before, that we are not coveting anything from anyone. All these add up. Develop any one of them, all others automatically come. So just as the space is contained in the smallest atom, and at the same time it is it gives accommodation to the entire universe, so also this sadhu purush, this seeker, has been asked to think in such a way that he is present in the smallest of the small, and in him the entire creation along with the space is contained within the self. See, this question of nourishing, it is not I nourishing you or you nourishing your children. That is not the nourishing that we are talking about. See, nourishing is like parents. Most of you are parents there. Whatever your activity is during the day, in the end, if the kids are small, your attention is that you are doing all this for their nourishment, for the nourishment of the family, isn't it? Why? These kids came out of me, because of me. I am the father. And also, I am taking care of the entire family and the extended family. Now, go beyond that. Just like space is in the atom, atom is nothing but electron, neutron and proton, and 99.9%, 9999% is space. So space is there in the smallest unit of the creation, and yet the whole creation is accommodated in space. Now take, instead of space, you replace the space with yourself. Who are you? The conscious space. You are not the inert space. You are the conscious space. Just like you alone, where your mind alone was expressing in and through every cell, every organ, every molecule, atom that was there in the dream creation, and yet that same mind was giving the accommodation to the entire universe of the dream. So is true in the waking also, that you, the conscious space, are nourishing everything and being in the creation from within and without. You alone are expressing in and through everything. In the inert objects, you are expressing as the existence. In the living, existence and consciousness. In human, the existence, consciousness and bliss. You alone are, just like in dream. And at the same time, you are the one which accommodates the entire waking universe. Without you, this waking universe is not possible. For you. So maintain this thought. Oneness with the creation will come. No competition. Automatically your presence now is a nourishing factor wherever it goes. See? I call that state of gentleness, Mardavam. One must be, see, our gentleness, how does it express to other people? Yes, by look, by touch and everything. But how do people come to know? Even if sometimes our actions are hard, even if we are angry, but other person knows that essentially this person is very soft, so they don't take it to their heart, even if you show the anger. What thoughts we cultivate in our mind at a relative level, individual level, what thoughts are we cultivating in our mind? If our thoughts are not gentle, if our thoughts are of fighting, hatred, anger, all those negative ones will come afterwards. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. If these are the thoughts These are the qualities that are naturally. Then what comes out of the thoughts in the mind, which others don't know, but you are thinking in your mind, oh, I wish I had that, oh, I wish I had that, and you are inside, you are frustrated that you don't have enough. Lost opportunities. When will I get that in my life? And then that frustration, then thoughts in the mind express as words at the mouth level. Thoughts only express as words. So what will be the quality of the words? People will come to know. This fellow is himself frustrated. So gentleness of speech, soft speech, not barking all the time. It is just one example I am giving, but it's the whole package. A king, when defeated, feels depressed, or a self-respecting person becomes dispirited when reduced to a low position. So a king, when defeated, feels depressed. So as long as everything is going fine in your life, you are on the top of the world. And the moment things go the wrong way, you become depressed. Why you are not depressed? Probably because you have not given too much value to the world out there. So you have interacted with it positively. Get involved only to some extent, don't go too deep into it. Any relationship. Thus far, no further. Let it be friendship, let it be fatherhood, husbandhood, wifehood, whatever. Important thing is our mind must remain calm under all circumstances. And when continuously we want, here it says, a king when defeated feels depressed, or a self-respecting person becomes dispirited when reduced to a low position. Demotion ho gaya, you go into depression. Business has gone, you go into depression. You must have seen after these fires a few months ago, November, December, January, how many people you must have seen on the interview, on the TV. So many shows were there, news it was there. Many people were depressed, crying, didn't know how to get, they're looking lost. Yet there were others whose take of the whole situation was, well, it's happened. I can't stand here and cry about it. I have to, life goes on, life moves on. I have to move on. I have to move on. That's positiveness. So in the 176th verse, the OV, he says, Nana Chandala Mandirashi Avachate Aliya Sanyashi Magalaza Hoya Jaisi Uttamataya Kshatriya Rani Padoni Zane Te Kona Sahe Lajirvane Ka Vaidhavye Pacharane महासतीयेते रूपसा उदयले कुष्ठ संभाविता कुटीचे बोट तया लाजा प्राण संकट होय जैसे तैसे औट हातपणे जे शव होऊनी जिणे उपजो मरणे नावा नावा तिये गर्भमेद मुसे रक्त मूत्र रसे भोतीव होऊनी असे te lajirvane. He says, a worthy ascetic becomes crestfallen when he finds himself in the house of a low caste, or a member of a warrior caste feels ashamed when he flees from the battlefield. A chaste wife with her living husband, feels abashed when she is called a widow, or when a handsome fellow suffering from leprosy feels as if he is in the throes of death, or a respectable person feels the same when he is accused of a shameful act. In the same way, the seeker feels ashamed to live like a corpse in the body 3.5 cubit long, to go through birth and death again and again, or to pass his time in a womb which is a mold of fat filled with blood and urine. Lajja, we are talking about shyness. What a take! And what does he say? So many examples he has given. Just like an ascetic, he becomes crestfallen when he finds himself in the house of a low caste person. He is not supposed to eat. When we say ascetic, we are not talking about a sannyasi. We are talking about an ascetic. He is a yogi. Still thinks Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Sannyasi is gone beyond all that. It doesn't matter to him. Or the other one, the warrior feels depressed when he runs away from the battle. Or a wife, if someone calls her a widow and she even still has her husband living, what will be the feeling in her? Or a handsome fellow suffering from leprosy feels as if he is living death. There is no future for me anymore. Or a respectable person is accused of a shameful act. In the same way, this seeker feels ashamed. Feels ashamed of what? Feels ashamed of being still identified with this body. Feels ashamed of still talking about relations and possessions. Feels ashamed of still talking about his past. Because past is what is maintaining the ego. Understand this. The more past is deleted, the lesser is the ego. The only reason you are able to go to sleep is because there is no ego at that time. So feel ashamed to talk about your past. Find some excuse. Go to toilet if someone asks. But we feel proud of showing the albums after albums after albums of our last 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. That small child has got no past. He is smiling away. Everyone loves that small child. And we have collected such a huge biography for ourselves that people run away from us, because the moment you go to him, the moment they come to you, you begin from when you were born. They are tired of it. They came to download their biography on you, but they found you are adept at it, so they run away. Feel ashamed of talking about the same thing. आज ब्रेकफास्ट के लिए क्या है, लंच के लिए क्या है, डिनर के लिए क्या है. Let's go for shopping. Oh, vegetable has gone expensive this week. Oh, what will happen to coronavirus? What will happen? What has happened So many days have come and gone, so many problems have come and gone, so many times the market has gone up and down, so many times the prices of everything, houses, vegetables, have come up and down. What has happened to you? Nothing. So he's ashamed. Until unless you are not ashamed of this relative existence, enough of talking about it. You are ashamed that you are still identified with this body, still talking about. Just now someone sent me, I was going through, I don't know, Facebook, someone has written a book or something, and they are saying, oh I have written this book, and by God's grace, Goddess grace, this book is coming into going to be printed, etc., etc. And now I am so many 82 years old. I don't know if I have lived my life correctly or not. And at this juncture of my life, so many naturally at age 82, 83, person starts thinking about the commissions and omissions, that I should have done this, I should not have done that in the past. But now I am here, but I don't know, I can't change anything. He's writing this in the Facebook to me, and I don't know if I can change this. But I'm being born a Hindu, at least I have got a future next birth, and I can correct myself, and I hope that Lord gives me birth in the next life. He gives me a human body. Pathetic. We don't want a human body. We don't want to go in that dirty womb. That is narak, where you are covered with placenta and all the dirty waters. And you call that is the narakayatna. Again getting born, crying, again learning how to walk, again learning how to speak, again learning how to, half of your life will go only trying to learn everything, and then, arey yaar, this life also I forgot to do the sadhana. I continued with survival only. Chalo, next life again. Same thing you said last life also. That's why you are here. So we have to correct we should not be proud of ourselves as the ego. We should not be proud of ourselves as this body. I am handsome, I am strong, I am this, I am that. Oh, who cares? Or to pass his time in a womb, which is so feel ashamed to pass your time in a womb, which is a mold of fat filled with blood and urine. That's all it is. In the garbha of the mother, that's all there is. Feel ashamed. I don't want to go through that process again. Enough. Continuing that thought. हे बहु असो देहपणे नाम रूपासी येणे नाही गाला जिरवाणे तयाहुनी ऐसैसिया अवकळा घेपे शरीराचा कंटाळा ते लाजमय निर्मळा लाजपय निर्मळा निसुगा गोड आता सूत्रतंतू तुटलिया चेष्टाची ठाके साय खडिया तैसे प्राण जये कर्मेंद्रिया खुंटे गती की मावळलिया दिन करू सरे किरणाचा प्रसरू तैसा मनोजये प्रकारू ज्ञानेंद्रियाचा एवं मन पवन नियमे होती दाही इंद्रिये अक्षमे ते अचापल्य वर्मे येणे होय. He says, in short, he does not think anything more disgraceful than to get into such a body and assume name and form. Don't feel proud. Yes, it has been told that only through human birth there is liberation possible. This is for the fools. Vedanta, if you have listened to the commentary of Jnaneshwar Maharaj till 15th chapter, we have been stressing repeatedly trying to impress on this mind of ours that we are Satchidananda Swarup, that we are the infinite, that we are the Purushottam, that we are the Kshetrajna. That we are not other than the divine, that this Atma and the Paramatma are one. Again and again, nowhere it has been told that no, please take birth as a human being. No. Nowhere in our scriptures you will find that please go and take again birth. Now that you have got a human birth, finish it off. Story over. Tuti kaputi. See? In short, he does not think anything more disgraceful. Are yaar, again, like when we say, if we lost the job, first the fires came, then the floods came, now corona came. A person who has suffered through all the three, oh, chalo yaar, fires have come, now I'll rebuild myself, and suddenly the floods came. Are yaar, ye kya ho gaya? And the moment he was thinking only about it, corona came. Are again. But we never feel that again I have got the human body. Are yaar, now again I have to go through this whole process. I want to finish this story once and for all. No more birth. Does this thought come to our mind? Or we are living in this euphoria that yaar chalo ye life to enjoy kar li. We have enjoyed this life. I should have been more spiritual oriented, but anyway I got next life, I'll continue there. No, here it says he does not think anything more disgraceful than to get into such a body and assume name and form. Meaning, do not get identified with your name and form. In this life itself, disidentify. Do whatever is required. Do regular satsang, do sadhana, do japa, do whatever comes your way, which clicks to you. But get disidentified from this body in this lifetime itself. Because if you did not go in that direction in this life, next life also you will not do. Oh, but they say, I have collected my karmas, I have collected my good deeds, I did so much of japa in this life, and I will continue with that japa in the next life. And from there only I will start again. What if you get distracted before that happens? Then again next birth. Don't go in that direction. N number of possibilities are there. N number of possibilities. It's like you are so convinced. You are so convinced that you are going to be you are the one who is going to be in the next life. What is the possibility? Just think. What is the possibility of the water which went and became one particular wave? That same amount of molecules, exactly the way they are, or the drop, the amount of water, those same molecules of water, to again form another wave. What is the possibility? 1 in 10, 1 in 100, 1 in 1000, 1 in million, 1 in zillion, 1 in trillion? Maybe never. You are identified with that which does not exist. Gross, subtle and causal does not exist. Don't take it to be real. Feel ashamed that, yeah, again I got caught up in the wrong way. Again I have collected, instead of giving up. Instead of being focused on the divine, again I have got focused on the world. I'm again losing the opportunity. Until you don't come to this, become shy, ashamed of this habit, shift will not happen in our life. The nausea which a sinless person feels for such a loathsome body is known as humility, but a shameless person derives great pleasure in it. Shameless person who only talks about possessions and relations, who lives only for the world, who only lives for this body, he only lives for his wife, his parents, his children. Oh, but is that not our duty? Then suffer. Do you go back to your dream family every day? The same family? Do you? Or every day you got a new family or a new body and a new event and a new world? Isn't it? This stupid idea that yesterday the world I was in is the same world that I am in today and is the same world which will continue tomorrow. This is the stupid idea that we have got caught ourselves in. We have to get out of it. सारा जोर लगा दो इसी जीवन में. कैलाश हो गया, चार धाम हो गया, ज्योतिर्लिंग हो गए. All that is good. Doing everyday puja is good. But body disidentification, if it has not happened, then we are still in the loop. We are still going the wrong way. And the body identification must happen consciously, not unconsciously. It's happening to you unconsciously every day when you go to sleep. It must happen consciously. So, who is the sadhu? Who is this seeker? Who feels disgusted? See? See, when you are a kid, we go exploring everything. If we touch fire, parents say, don't go there, don't do this, don't do that. But we will go and we'll burn ourselves 1 or 2 times. Parents will say, don't touch the pin, it will prick, but we will prick ourselves, isn't it? But then what did we do? What did we learn? In India, the plug point is round. So the small child's finger goes into it. Till he does not get 1 or 2 shocks, till then he does not realize that I should not put my finger into this. But then what happens as that child grows up? From that moment on, he learns how to negotiate with fire. He makes the fire its slave. He makes the electricity its slave. He makes the pin its slave. It must serve me, but I must not get uh, affected by them. And this is how you have grown up. So this body, this mind, the intellect, this world is not for indulgence. It will burn you. It will swallow you. It will take away your sleep. It will keep you in the loop of ignorance. So then what has to be done? Exactly, even now you are practicing in certain areas. If the boss is a bit too cranky sort of a fellow, you learn how to negotiate around him. Say what has to be said in a right manner and not come in his presence, etc., etc., etc. Now Corona is there, you are learning how to negotiate. Remain locked in so that you don't go to it and you are taking precaution. Same way, if we are looking for happiness, if we are looking for to be abiding in our own essential nature, if we are looking for to purify our mind, to calm our mind down, then we have to learn to negotiate with what is creating the stress and the strain and the miseries and the excitement and the inertia in our mind. What is that which is creating? The world, and the world because we have considered ourselves to be the body. So learn how to negotiate with each. Learn how to negotiate with the outside world. Then learn how to negotiate with this body. That you must not get trapped by the body, but the body must serve you in what you want to, where you want it to take you. Keep it serviced. Keep the mind serviced. Oh, I do japa, but my other thoughts come and take away my mind. Are you that weak? If you are that weak, you would not have reached till this age that you are. A weak mind would have given up very long time ago. Why undermine ourselves? See? So we have the ability to negotiate with around everything. With the world we are able to do, with the bosses we are able to do, with the forces of nature we are able to do. Why not with the body, breath, mind, intellect? Because we don't think about it. Because we are proud that I have got a good body, I am a 6-footer, I am a handsome fellow, I got a good hairstyle, I got good muscles, I got good abs. Then it does not stop there. I am a father of wonderful children who are very susanskrit, they are very well cultured, and they have done well in their life. They have gone to good schools, all because, and we keep building the data to maintain this bloody ego. We are not ashamed of it. So learn to negotiate through everything so that in this lifetime itself we are able to call it quits with regards to body. Body, when I say, again I repeat, gross, subtle and causal body. Not just the physical body. And everything associated with it will automatically get taken care of. Automatically. The nausea which a sinless person feels for such a loathsome body is known as humility. then there is no pride that I had done this, I had done that. There is no arrogance of success. There is no arrogance of knowledge. There is no arrogance of being. See? But a shameless person derives great pleasure in it. Even after satsang, we'll talk the same way. I did this, Swamiji, I did that, I invested here, I invested there. Our attention is still on the world. Our attention is still on what we have created. Our attention is not on the infinite. Just as the movement of a puppet comes to a stop with the snapping of the string in the hands of the puppeteer, so his organ of action ceases their activity when he practices breath control. Just as the rays of the sun cease after sunset, so his organs of sense cease to function with self-control. See? So with self-control, how do you bring about self-control? Here Nyareshwar Maharaj is telling, do breath control to bring about self-control. Why? Mind control is very difficult for a person who is identified with the body. So assess your day. How many times you thought about the infinite and how many times you are thinking about the body and the world. You will find 99.9% you are thinking only about the body and the world. 0.1% we are thinking about the reality. That is our state. So, for such people, breath control, do lom anulom, do pranayam, do the pranayam which was given in the Bhagavad, Antar Kumbhak, Bahir Kumbhak, and then chanting of Om. Something, find out what works for you. So when there is breath control, there is mind control. If there is mind control, then your unwanted interaction with the body and the world will slow down automatically. When mind is under control, automatically thoughts about the higher, thoughts about something more diviner, the inquiry, who am I, etc., etc., might begin by grace. But unless and until the mind is not settled, ask yourself, if I stop for the next 10 seconds, I'll stop talking. At that time, what goes on in your mind? What is going on in the mind? That is your default position at this moment. Was the thought about when is he going to say, it's already 10 seconds, it's already 30 seconds, he's still not talking? Your attention is outwards. Or at that moment, thoughts of family, thoughts of other things came and hijacked your mind, then that's your default. Means mind is not under control. Mind under control means it's empty and it's comfortable that way. Whether something comes to it or doesn't come to it, it's absolutely comfortable. It's in the poise. That can be brought about through breath control, then mind control. And here he says, derives great, just as the movement of a puppet comes to a stop with the snapping of the string in the hands of the puppeteer, so his organs of action cease their activity when he practices breath control. Just like suddenly from one moment to the next. Nothing happens slowly in life. I'm sorry. You cannot try anything. I'm trying to be spiritual. I'm trying to do japa. I'm trying to do yoga. I'm trying to do pranayam. All this is BS. Nothing can be tried. Either you are doing it or you are not. You can't try to sleep. Either if you are trying, you are not sleeping. And when you are slept, you are not trying. There's no in between. I'm trying to be body disidentified, which means you are not body disidentified. Because when you are body disidentified, this statement will not be there, I'm trying. This is the snap. And this snap can be brought about through breath control. Just as the rays of the sun cease after sunset, so his organs of sense cease to function with self-control. In this way, all the 10 senses become feeble, and this is known as absence of fickleness. What is this? The last one was achapalam, chapalam, chapal. Chapal means fickle. Fickle mind is, you must have noticed when you go to parties or when your friends have come over to your home or you go to other people's friends. Notice this. Someone is talking. अच्छा क्या बोल रहे थे क्या बोल रहे थे? You want to know. They were not talking to you. They are talking to each other. Why you have to put your nose in between? Or someone says Nagesh and says something. What did you call me? If they have to call, they will call. Just because you heard the name Nagesh, why do you think it is you? It can be anyone. Are there not other Nageshes? So this, I think they are talking about me. Are they gossiping about me? Are they talking good about me? Are they talking bad about me? What are they? But what is the reason that they took my name? This is fickleness of mind. Should I do exercise? Should I not do exercise? Should I wake up in the morning? Should I not wake up in the morning? Fickleness of the mind is, nowadays you watch, everyone is at home. How long do you delay coming out of the bed? It's due to fickleness of the mind. Achapalam. See? And it's not helpful. Mind must be firm. Once it is given a direction, it must follow it. No question. Now we move into the third verse. What's the time? 8:54. We just look at the verse and then go into the OVs in the next class. So this is the third verse and it's the last verse in which all the qualities, 27 qualities are there in these three verses. Teja Kshama Dhruti Shaucham तेज क्षमा धृति शौचम अद्रोहो नातिमानिता अद्रोहो नातिमानिता भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम् भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम् अभिजातस्य भारत अभिजातस्य भारत तेज क्षमा धृति शौचम अद्रोहो नातिमानिता भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम् अभिजातस्य भारत. Teja is the effulgence, Kshama forgiveness, Dhruti forbearance, Shaucham cleanliness inside and out, Adroho no hatred, no animosity, Na atimanita no arrogance, भवन्ति संपदम दैवीम अभिजातस्य भारत. ओ अर्जुना, ओ भारत, these are the दैवी संपत्ति which we have enumerated. See, so what are they? These teja, kshama, dhriti, shaucha, adroha, na atimanita. We'll look at them in our next class. ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. Harihi Om. We'll sit quietly for a minute or two, and after that, next class will be Saturday evening 6 o'clock. Hari Om. हाँ हाँ, अभी मेडिटेशन में बैठो, अभी बातें नहीं. 2 मिनट के लिए ध्यान में बैठो.